Hour. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DiPrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
We love you. Love you.
First things first.
First things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This show is called First Things First, and my first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from the Most High, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And let's go. Let's talk. That's what we do around here. We talk. We also take some actions, and I'm sure you know that, and I hope you're part of that. So the way we do a show on a wealth building Wednesday, y'all like to call it hump day. Hour 1, we look local, what's going on around here. Hour 2, we kick off with a focus on a business or business opportunity for Black people, for BIPOC-owned businesses, for socially innovative or local enterprises. We aim to support each other and also help ourselves recycle Black dollars and find great opportunities. So we do that every Wednesday, top of the second hour, and then we go open phones. It's always open phones, but they're extra open phones on the national, international, beyond. Third hour, we do a deep dive with a hot topic or person of interest, and we are on point with all of that today. In fact, today we, May is burning up. It's already halfway through the month. Today we'll be talking with Jamal Mumia, who is traveling the country to educate folks on his father's case, his father Mumia Abu Jamal. So we'll get some updates and calls to action in that space. Right now, though, it's me, you, and the microphone, telephone. If you want to call, the number is 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580 if you want to talk about something, complain about something, whatever's on your mind. I'm here for it, here for you. It's one of the great blessings of this particular job and this particular moment in time. We have a lot of things we're struggling with, but again, we are building. I like to talk about this ancient Yoruba saying. It says, are you going to build or are you going to destroy? And sometimes we're doing both at once. We're watching Washington destroy with their feet what we've built with our hands. And the thing is not to be discouraged, because we have deep foundations and the ability to build quickly, the ability to encourage and innovate and bob and weave. And so that's what we're going to do. And you're invited in 800-920-1580. Keep each other encouraged, keep each other fortified, and continue to build even as Mr. Orange Man and the crew seem to be hell-bent on destroying this country. We talked yesterday about ethnic studies and what's happening here in the state of California with ethnic studies, where it was meant to be a requirement, and my understanding is that the freshman class this year in September, the new freshman high school class, was meant to have ethnic studies as a requirement so that they would meet the 2030 deadline for the law we passed in 2021 requiring an ethnic studies class to graduate from high school in the state of California. But our governor has defunded that. What does that mean? He's simply using the excuse, and it is an excuse for whatever he doesn't want to move forward with, and saying, well, we're in a tight budget cycle. Okay, but that's the law. We passed a law. You don't say we're in a tight budget cycle so everyone's free to run through red lights and park wherever they want. But in a sense, that is what the governor has done when it comes to ethnic studies. He's not funding it. He's not talking about it, even while he appears to be. And it's interesting that he vehemently disputes this idea that he's tacking to the right so he could be president, because it sure looks like it from where I sit. And I'm not the only one. There was a poll recently that found most Californians feel that this governor is more worried about his prospects as a presidential candidate than the impact of whatever happens here in our state. So now he is not ponying up the money for ethnic studies to move forward, and that means some districts are shelving it. Some are trying to move forward in a piecemeal manner. Meanwhile, what I spoke on yesterday is this bill being put forth by 3 lawmakers, state lawmakers, claiming to be about anti-Semitism, but really what it is a way to control what is taught in ethnic studies and move it to a more conservative, generic agenda, very much in alignment with the erasure of the museums, with the anti-DEI campaign of this current administration, so that under the guise of things being so-called anti-Semitic, and I say so-called not because I take anti-Semitism lightly, but because right now anyone who criticizes Israel is being labeled as anti-Semitic, and those two things are not synonymous. They are not the same. Being critical of Netanyahu and the slaughter of Palestinian civilians, including tens of thousands of women and children, that's not anti-Semitic. Being anti the policies of Israel, anti-war, anti-Netanyahu, that doesn't mean that you don't like Jewish people or that you have a disrespect for Jewish Americans or their faith or Jewish people wherever they might be. Doesn't mean that at all. But once again, we have this Trojan horse of a bill that's coming in under the guise of stopping hate, and the real outcome, the real goal is to be able to punish teachers and students who criticize Israel and control the agenda of ethnic studies. Meanwhile, it's being defunded by the governor. So that's what I was talking about. I mean, it's one example of what I was talking about when I said, are you going to build or are you going to destroy? Of course, advocates for ethnic studies are not backing down, not blacking down, as we like to say around here. Of course, we're not. This has been going on since I was in college. And that was the constant fight that we had. I went to San Francisco State. Constant fight that we have to preserve what the generation before fought for and then advance it. My father, Dominique Baraka, the late Amir Baraka, a.k.a. Leroy Jones, was one of the persons, along with Danny Glover and others, fighting for a school of ethnic studies where I attended college, which was San Francisco State. And then here I come attending the school, and we're doing sit-ins every day to keep them from defunding the school. And here we are playing out that same drama on the statewide arena all these years later. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. We need to fight. The state legislature is considering that bill today. And so this is the perfect day to contact your lawmakers and tell them, no, we don't think that Israel's agenda should control ethnic studies in the state of California, nor control which teachers are considered problem teachers. The LA Times is saying that this is going to could ruin the ethnic studies requirement. It is the law. Why are we so quick to walk away from the law? We should not support that so-called tanking. We should insist that this is funded and that this state law be carried forth just like any other state law. Why, when it comes to our history, our children, our teachers? Oh, well, we know it's the law, but we don't want to pay for that. We know it's the law, but we think it's making these folks uncomfortable or this agenda problematic. If it's the law, it's the law. Until y'all pass a different law, which apparently is what they're trying to do, it is the law of the land and needs to be implemented. The governor's spokesperson, the budget doesn't include funding that would trigger the ethnic studies graduation requirement. The state has limited available ongoing resources. But they're not trimming back on police. They're not trimming back on parking enforcement. They pick and choose what we don't have enough money for during a budget crunch. And we pass this law. So it's time to ante up. 800-920-1580 if you want to weigh in on this. Yeah, Paul says get Newsom out of there. But the thing about it is Gavin Newsom is termed out. He's basically a lame duck governor performing for the national stage. In fact, when we come forward, we can look at this. He's walking back his commitment to health care for certain undocumented immigrants. Now, why would he do that? I mean, some folks were not happy with that when it first happened, but it happened. And on his watch, what's going on? What is actually happening? 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You really about to do it?
40 acres and a mule. This is bigger than the music.
You really about to do it?
Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
Who among us doesn't like black music? But Kendrick is right. This moment is so much bigger than music. These are serious times. We've got serious problems, and we need serious people who understand that slogans are not solutions. When you want substantial and sober analysis about things that matter to you and the ones you love, this is where you turn. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live
your black.
KBLA Talk 1580 invites you to join the Children, Youth, and Family Collaborative, CYFC, for their 25th annual Foster Youth Awareness Walk on Saturday, May 17th at 8 a.m. at Susan Miller Dorsey High School, 3537 Farmdale Avenue in Los Angeles. This community-centered event brings together advocates, supporters, and youth to raise awareness and resources for foster care programs in the greater Los Angeles area. Please register at Eventbrite CYFC 25th Anniversary Walk. Congratulations to the Children, Youth, and Family Collaborative on their 25th Annual Foster Youth Awareness Walk. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
I've also got a great example of how we need to be. Yeah, I know it's not a Talking Point Tuesday, but how we need to be mindful, being able to read between the lines and understand the way that sometimes media coverage is so doggone biased. And okay. We'll get there. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. So basically, the governor is saying, I know I said I was going to give coverage to undocumented persons of all ages, but it's too expensive. Did you not know that when you came up with this policy? I mean, we're California. We've got tons of undocumented persons. It's interesting that polling finds that most Californians agree with giving health care to children who are undocumented, but not adults, not so much. Now they're saying, it cost more than anticipated. How dumb are you? I mean, look, this is California. Look around. There are undocumented persons. We're right by the border. It's going to cost a lot of money. It just is. Now, that's a decision that you made. Now he's saying it's too expensive, and so the plan is he wants to charge undocumented persons $100 a month to have to get Medi-Cal coverage. So it'd be like paying for insurance. And then starting January 1st, no new adults would be able to enroll in that program. And, of course, it's going to save the state a bunch of money and blah, blah, blah. So but to me, whether you agree with paying for health care for undocumented persons or not, running around acting like you didn't know it was going to cost a bunch of money makes you look like you don't have common sense. I'm not great at math. I can count money, but I'm not doing no algebra and trigonometry in my spare time. And I can tell you 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 plus however many is a whole bunch of money. Republicans have criticized this policy, and it does look fiscally silly in a time when you're starving your budget. However, you could make the argument that undocumented persons pay taxes in this state and in this nation. In fact, we know that the new policies of the Republican Party under the leadership of Trump is going to cost us billions and billions of dollars in revenue that comes in to the IRS from undocumented persons who are hoping to become documented. They're trying to get green cards or some kind of refugee status, and they're often advised to pay taxes so that they can be in good standing. All that goes away when you just deport them. So we're losing billions. And of course they pay income tax. Not all of them pay income tax, but all of them pay sales tax. If they're buying anything from any stores, they're paying sales tax. So you could make the argument that they're getting back what they pay into the system, or a little tiny fraction of it. That said, people who are undocumented, I mean, I know that if I'm undocumented and I go to Canada or England or Germany, I'm not getting health care benefits. So I can see why, this opens him up, him being the governor, to criticism from Republicans. Jerry Brown got it right. He's the one that signed the bill that gave coverage to children, health care coverage to children. That makes sense. Your kid is sitting next to a kid in school who's not vaccinated and who has some deadly disease because they can't afford health coverage. That makes sense to me. Covering every single adult when there's so many Californians, working Californians, that are not covered, who are documented, that seems a little more reckless. Let's go to Barbara calling us from Orange County. Good morning, Barbara.
Good morning, Dominique. A couple of minutes ago, were you just talking about the ethnic studies?
I sure was.
I missed it. Okay. When I was at Fresno State, we had a whole ethnic studies department, and all the other minorities came under ethnic studies, and it was fully funded and everything. What happened? I'm confused because I remember.
Do you still? Is it still there?
Yes.
Okay. So I was
It's
talking.
not as large as it was.
I was talking about at the high school level.
Okay. You know what? A girlfriend of mine, she's passed on, but she started a school, a class where we would have people come in and teach about Black history. And NAACP used to do that out here in the 90s. We need to start that back up so that we can teach our kids properly. Because did you know that the Websters, and I mean Merriam-Webster and all of them, were Black people?
No, I really didn't. I'm not tracking the Websters like that. But just to be clear, because I'm glad you brought up, there could be some confusion because I was talking about my college experience. But the bill that I was referring to is a 2021 bill that requires all high school graduates in the state of California to have taken a class in ethnic studies. That's
okay,
and that was supposed to be impacting the freshman high school class starting in the fall, the new class. Okay, now the governor has decided not to pay for that program. But what I'm arguing is that it is a law. You don't get to decide which laws you implement and don't implement based on your budget priorities.
Right. Okay, I'm glad you cleared that up. But one other thing, your brother, are they doing phone banking for him?
Yes,
and
indeed
do you
they
have
are.
a link where we can donate?
Yeah, razforgovernor.com.
Okay.
Raz, which is RAS, razforgovernor.com. The primary is June 10th. Yes, they're doing phone banking, accepting donations. For those not following, Raz Jua Baraka, who's the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, was arrested by ICE on Friday. I have a friend that texted me and said, oh, now he's going to run for governor. No, not now. He's been running for governor. He announced he was running for governor like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. He's been in all the gubernatorial debates just because you guys are just finding out about him. But yeah, he is not the official nominee of the Democratic Party, but he is a wildly popular mayor. He's been mayor for 11 years now. And those who really follow me and my shows know that because we did a big fundraiser for him here in LA when he ran and the first time, and he has been reelected repeatedly. Now he's running for governor, which is a huge deal because it's very, very rare. I don't know, you can count on two hands the number of Black governors we've had in all of our nation's history. And there's never been one in New Jersey. So it's interesting how ICE arresting my brother, arresting a U.S. citizen, a Black American, a sitting elected official, the mayor of a town who was at a private facility, a private prison, right? Not federally owned land, privately owned land, to greet Congress people who are doing their due diligence in inspecting a facility that has been alleged to have massive human rights violations and did not go through the proper permitting process to even be allowed to operate. The state of New Jersey has very specific guidelines for prisons and their functioning. And so he's there. He follows all directives from the agents, does not break the law, and yet they charge him. They arrest him. They charge him with trespassing. Tomorrow there will be a hearing in federal court, and they are asking folks to show up in federal court there in New Jersey to show support. But it's been amazing, the public outcry and the public support. And I am hoping that this is an FAFO moment where Republicans, by trying to decommission my brother, my sibling, the mayor of Newark, that in fact they do just the opposite. Energize this campaign. People do what Barbara's doing and volunteer to phone bank or send donations or simply get the word out, get the vote out. And he wins in the primary and goes on to be the nominee in the general election. So much to talk about. You're invited in. 800-920-1580. We are unapologetically outspoken. KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is creating a mayor's office to combat anti-Semitism in the city.
They would not have to hesitate to enter the subway system should they take off their yarmulke. They should not worry about wearing their Star of David.
The Anti-Defamation League reported record anti-Semitism incidents in 2024, with New York State having the highest number. Numerous evacuations had to be carried out in western Maryland because of dangerous widespread flooding. In Allegheny County, 150 students and 50 adults at an elementary school had to be rescued by boat yesterday after floodwaters breached the school building. No injuries or deaths have been reported so far. And lawmakers are urging Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to save 988's LGBTQ services. Over 100 congressional Democrats want him to reverse cuts threatening these services. The 988 Lifeline was established in 2020 by a bipartisan measure. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. 2 elimination games tonight in the NBA playoffs. New York at Boston and Golden State at Minnesota. New York and Minnesota have 3-1 leads in their best-of-7 series. Boston, the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, goes home if they lose to New York tonight. The Celtics will be without their best player. Jason Tatum has surgery Monday to repair a ruptured Achilles tendon in his right leg. Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred lifted the lifetime ban on Pete Rose, baseball's all-time hits leader with 4,256. Rose was banned from baseball in 1984 for betting on baseball games as a player and manager. Rose, who died in 2024, is now eligible for the Hall of Fame. If you had a vote, would you vote for Rose to go into the Hall of Fame? Email your thoughts to ray@smileyAudiomedia.com. ray@smileyAudiomedia.com. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
When you turn to the Employment Development Department, we'll help you get there. Whether it's support for you and your family while you find a new job, or the resources to focus on your recovery after illness or injury, we can help you move forward. From support while you bond with your newborn, to helping serve your family while your partner serves our country. Your EDD. We'll help you get there. For more information, visit edd.ca.gov.
The Comedy Connection series featuring KBLA's Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady. We're going to transform relationship disasters into stand-up material live at Inglewood's Miracle Theater on May 31st at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. My clinical team will disclose all of your dating woes while the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady, has hand-selected supremely talented comedians to roast all of our tragic relationship choices. I dare you to bring your ex's phone number because Ray, he's going to text it live, and the crowd will be sourcing emojis. Tickets are moving swiftly, so don't hesitate to grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before I diagnose your dating history as a pre-existing condition.
KBLA Talk 1580 and the California Black Chamber of Commerce invite you to the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. Get certified and register as a new bidder. Sell products and services to the state. Learn about pre-bid events and more, and it's all free. All you have to do is sign up at www.calbcc.org. That's www.calbcc.org. Registration for the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, begins at 9 a.m. and the workshop concludes at 1 p.m. on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. This is a community call to action from the California Black Chamber of Commerce and KBLA Talk 1580. Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. I'm listening to our news report that New York had, and Eric Adams, New York has more anti-Semitism than anywhere else in the country. Okay. I just want to be clear right now, all of those reports are suspect because their definitions of anti-Semitism often mean criticizing Israel, right? If there are attacks on people for actually wearing yarmulkes or being Jewish or, that's obviously those are hate crimes. That's wrong. It's terrible. But the way they're defining it, you can't even trust the statistics because saying free Palestine is now considered anti-Semitism by some. And that's just not accurate at all. One does not equal the other. And so, I need to see how they're defining it. It's the same thing with these universities. I need to see how they're defining it. Let's go to Randy calling us from Watts. What's up, Randy?
Beautiful day here, and I am so glad we've got you out there to keep these people's feet to the fire. What I wanted to bring up is the fact we've had fuel prices as high as $123 a drum a year or so back. Now we've got a fuel price of $64, and we're still paying over $4 for fuel because they keep adding taxes to the pump prices. And there is no such thing as an additive for clean summer fuel blends. I do a lot of deliveries to our refineries.
I get it, Randy. You're a truck driver, and so you're pro the anti-environment agenda of the Trump administration because you think it will make fuel prices go down. Let's see how this plays out long term as they are, targeting California's clean air laws. By they, I'm talking about the Trump administration. They are trying to cease those clean air laws because they say that it's forcing oil and gas companies to comply with California standards. We happen to be one of the biggest states. We're definitely the most prosperous state. To me, it's worth paying a little more to save the planet. It is. I know you dispute that, but many scientists don't agree with you. So it is what it is. It's one of those agree to disagree moments, Randy.
But a lot of scientists do agree with me.
Yeah, well, a lot of scientists are climate deniers, too. Not a lot, a few. I think a lot would be a stretch, but.
Well, the reality of what we've got here in California is photosynthesis on our growth.
So what you're
is a prime
talking,
example.
so for you, it's more important to have cheap gas than a habitable planet.
No, for me, it's more profitable for those of us that are trying to be in business.
So profit over people is what you're talking about, really. I mean, I understand everybody got to eat. We all got to make a living. I get that, Randy. But you have grandchildren. You have children, grandchildren, right?
Yes.
So do you not worry about like the fact that we might be leaving them a planet that can't sustain human life?
I was also an agriculture major as well as transportation, and it just doesn't seem to work out. That I think a lot of that is fried ice cream that they played on us. This climate, this green scheme. You've known me for 4 years, Dominique, and every time I bring it up, every time I bring something up, you research it and I hear the
No, that's not
really?
true. You have told me a couple things I wasn't aware of, but many things you say are just your agenda as a truck driver. I get it. That's your point of view. But for those of us who like to be able to breathe air and swim in oceans, sometimes the profit is not the main driver. And I get that's your business and that's how you make a living. So it's not, you're going to have a different outlook than many of us. But no, a lot of the stuff you say is just outright not true. The regulations in California have made a huge difference. Anyone who's lived in LA or any major California city for their whole life who's over 30 can see the difference in the air quality, in the smog, in the emissions. It is making a difference. And now that difference is being attempted to be rolled back by this current administration. While that may be better for your business model, it is not better for you as a human organism or your children or grandchildren. Period. Full stop.
Well, the concept of smog, true enough, but we also, you got to realize at that time we had lead in our gasoline. We don't have lead in our gasoline now.
What's your point? It still emits greenhouse gases. We still need to get off of being fossil fuel junkies. And we were well on our way. Now they want to take away the money for electric charging stations because it gives Tesla a monopoly on the charging stations and halts the forward motion of electric cars. Now, I'm not saying electric cars are the be-all and end-all. We have issues with those batteries, but it's still in the immediate day-to-day, can I breathe? Can I live? Can we stop these greenhouse gases and the climate emergency? It's a better option. It is a better option. It might not be better for you as a business person, but as far as the greater good, not just people, but all living organisms, it is a better option.
Well, you still are one of the smartest people we got on the radio. And you keep it up.
All right, Randy. Look, call me and argue anytime. That's what we do around here. And appreciate the support of the station. Everybody got to make their money. Everybody got to eat. I get that. But that doesn't mean we need to be aware of what we're doing. Do it with open eyes. Okay, it's more important to you to make money the way that you're currently making it. Or maybe you don't feel it's possible for you to pivot, given your financial circumstances. But let's not pretend that that's what's best for the planet. Let's not pretend that cheaper gas is, I'd like cheaper gas too. At what cost? Cost is more than just dollars and cents. Cost is what is the overall impact to the planet, the people, and the other creatures that we share this earth with, who have less say-so, because they have less say-so because they're not people. They can't talk. They can't vote. They don't have money. We are responsible for this place. And I am always baffled how conservatives or even people who aren't conservatives, but who are climate deniers or climate minimizers, do not seem to think about their grandkids. I mean, let's look at the president. He's got a bunch of kids. He got a bunch of baby mamas, bunch of kids. They got kids. He appears to love his kids, or at least be proud of them. Let me leave it there. And most, so, and the grandkids, remember the granddaughter that spoke at the convention? Okay, well, why do you not care if they can't breathe, or if they have a planet that's so volatile from a climate perspective, with increased storms and fires, that it's not safe for them to live on? I get that if you're in denial, then you're just saying, oh, that's BS, my kids will be fine. But the overwhelming opinion of scientists is we've got to get off fossil fuels. We've got to do it. And it's not just the individual consumers, it is businesses. Precisely like Randy's, it is businesses, companies large and small, especially the big corporate ones. I give you that, Randy. The mom and pops are not as much the problem. But if we don't get off of our addiction to the demise of our habitable environment, we're basically giving our children and grandchildren the middle finger. Who cares if you can't breathe? Who cares if you have to live in a smoke-filled inferno? Sorry, that ain't it. Sometimes we have to think about making a few sacrifices, changing the way we live, so that we can have a bigger and more important benefit in the long run. It's why you don't buy every single thing you see, because you want to keep some money in the bank for later. We don't burn everything we see because we'll want to keep some planet in the bank for later. Randy called me at 800-920-1580. You can do the same, 800-920-1580. We are talking left coast, and there's a lot to unpack. KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Man, Miles, you hear that commercial Zoe Williams event? Does that sound like fun to you?
Having your cell phone.
Does that sound
we'll read your text live.
Does that sound fun to you?
Dude, it sounds fun to be like in the crowd on.
Yeah, it sounds fun to be in the crowd for sure. It does not sound fun to me to have my dating history diagnosed as a pre-existing condition, even though I admit it is one. I think I'm going to try to go to that, though. It actually does sound fun. It just, I won't be You will not be texting my ex. That's even too messy for me. But it actually does sound pretty fun.
Sounds lit.
Yeah, and funny for sure. Anyway, 800-920-1580, and they've got Ron G and my man Grady, so it'll be funny and crazy. It's going to be wild. Speaking of funny, crazy, wild, Santa Monica now has approved public drinking on the 3rd Street Promenade. They're calling it an entertainment zone. So if you're 21 or over, you can walk and drink outside on the 3rd Street Promenade. The city council approved that last week? No, it looks like they approved it this morning, early this morning. I wonder if they were drinking at the meeting. Well, the promenade has gotten less popular ever since COVID, which is weird to me because it's outdoors, so you would think people would want to walk around down there. But I guess they're struggling. You've got to compete with so many super fancy malls. I mean, look, I disagree with Rick Caruso about him being mayor and most everything business-wise, but he builds a hell of a mall, you know. And so you're competing with the Glendale, Americana, and the Grove, and all these fancier malls. So I'm thinking that they think if they let folks drink outside, it will bring back some business. And you got to be 21. You have to wear a wristband, and you can only drink drinks that you bought in the businesses in the area. I don't know how they enforce that. I can buy okay, let me not showcase my criminal mind on the radio here, but it seems like there's a lot of ways to get around it. It has to be in a non-glass container. You have to finish one drink before you go to another bar, and you can't take your drinks inside stores. Nevertheless, you can hang out outside and drink at Santa Monica Mall. So, I don't know. You may consider that. Good news. Okay, so the story that we were talking about, last week we talked about it with attorney Carrie Harper, who is the attorney on the civil case, or was the attorney on the civil case for the Winco deputy abuse incident, which resulted in this sheriff's deputy, Trevor James Kirk, being convicted, and he's facing up to 10 years in prison. We talked about this. Now, Bill Asaley, the prosecutor under the Trump administration, is offering him a plea deal, which is unheard of. He already turned down the plea deal. He took his chances. He got convicted, and now he gets the plea deal again post-conviction. It's really crazy. I believe it is a blueprint for how they will keep officers from having any accountability whatsoever under this administration. And that is exactly what is unfolding. There was a protest on yesterday. Black Lives Matter, cancel the contract. Other people, concerned citizens and other organizations were out protesting this deal. The judge will make a decision on Monday whether or not a post-conviction plea deal is crazy work. The whole idea of a plea deal is you're pleading out. You're taking your chances that you would be convicted and get a longer sentence. And that's what gives people the incentive to plead guilty and take a lesser sentence. If I can do a plea deal, get convicted, and then go back and still get the plea deal, why would I cooperate in the first place? It's a really dumb and ridiculous thing. ABC7 was interviewing the prosecutor on the case, Attorney Yu is his name, and he says that we're using the race card for a radical agenda. Well, that's stupid, and I'm not going to charge it to his not being black, which he's not, he's Asian. I'll charge it to him being a Republican. If you look at stats about police beating people up and killing people, black people are far and away the most frequent targets per capita, right? So that's not using the race card for a radical agenda. That's using the evidence, which is what you as a prosecutor, pun wasn't intended actually, are supposed to do. How can you say we're using it as an agenda when the evidence shows that black people are overwhelmingly targeted for police abuse? In any case, when I was talking about the slanted journalism here, they say that the way ABC7 describes it is that Sheriff's Deputy Trevor James Kirk was found guilty of using excessive force during the shoplifting investigation outside of a supermarket in Lancaster. It wasn't a shoplifting investigation. They suspected two elder black people of shoplifting. That's not an investigation. That's what we call profiling. And then they say that a jury saw a video of Kirk throwing robbery suspect J.C. Houston to the ground. How was she a robbery suspect? There was no robbery. There wasn't even shoplifting. They accused her of shoplifting. How can she be a robbery suspect when there was no robbery? That is ABC7 in this case, and I like ABC7, but in this case, they are simply mimicking what law enforcement told them. The jury saw a video of Kirk throwing robbery suspect J.C. Houston to the ground outside of a Winco store and decided it was enough to convict the deputy of a felony. There was no robbery, so she couldn't be a robbery suspect. There was no shoplifting. She was accused of shoplifting, so that's not an investigation, that's an accusation. An investigation means the crime happened, and now you're looking into it to see what happened, finding out who actually committed the crime. Turns out, Miss Houston and her friend had paid for their stuff. So that's not shoplifting. And now, as Attorney Kerry Harper said at the rally yesterday, instead of getting 10 years in jail, he may get no jail time. The interim U.S. Attorney, Bill Asaley, who was 5 minutes ago was an assembly member doing fake reparations, is said that they're willing to offer no jail time and to take this down to a misdemeanor, which means he can get his badge back. Not the L.A. Sheriff's Department, but he has another job waiting for him elsewhere. No, that's not true. Man Ray, don't make up facts. Fake alternative facts, save that for your right-wing radio stations. We're not playing that over here. So LADA Nathan Hockman, who I expect at any moment to join former Sheriff Villanueva, in saying, "Oh, surprise, I'm not a Democrat anymore." Well, he doesn't even claim to be a Democrat. He claims to be an independent. Anyway, he says he's going to create a new coalition of law enforcement agencies to focus on retail theft. Why? Because he was a big proponent of Prop 36, and so even though crime is down, the enforcement is up. So keep your eye on that. Man Ray says, "I'll wager 10 years of my life this woman has a past criminal history." Well, she wasn't shoplifting. I don't know about her criminal history, but I believe you are profiling her. She's an older adult, what we used to call a senior citizen. And yes, I did, I did interview the victim's attorney last week. You can hear it on the podcast. She was on last week, Attorney Carrie Harper. And she, that's available. You can hear it. It was, what date was that? It was last week on Tuesday. The third hour of the show. And you can go back and see it on YouTube. She actually came into the studio and talked with me about this case. You can see it on YouTube, or you can find it anywhere you get your podcasts. Our pods are always free. They're on Spotify. They're on Apple Music. Wherever you get your pods, you can find any show we did. That one was May 6th at 8 o'clock in the morning. And Attorney Carrie Harper broke down exactly not only what happened in the case. They won a big settlement. She doesn't have to come out against this downgrade in criminal charges. She's doing it because of principle. She's standing on principle in this case. 800-920-1580. Right now it's news, traffic, and sports. Then more, only right here.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is creating a mayor's office to combat anti-Semitism in the city.
They would not have to hesitate to enter the subway system should they take off their yarmulke. They should not worry about wearing their Star of David.
The Anti-Defamation League reported record anti-Semitism incidents in 2024, with New York State having the highest number. Numerous evacuations had to be carried out in western Maryland because of dangerous widespread flooding. In Allegheny County, 150 students and 50 adults at an elementary school had to be rescued by boat yesterday after floodwaters breached the school building. No injuries or deaths have been reported so far. And lawmakers are urging Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to save 988's LGBTQ services. Over 100 congressional Democrats want him to reverse cuts threatening these services. The 988 Lifeline was established in 2020 by a bipartisan measure. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Two elimination games tonight in the NBA playoffs. New York at Boston and Golden State at Minnesota. New York and Minnesota have 3-1 leads in their best-of-7 series. Boston, the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, goes home if they lose to New York tonight. The Celtics will be without their best player. Jason Tatum has surgery Monday to repair a ruptured Achilles tendon in his right leg. Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred lifted the lifetime ban on Pete Rose, baseball's all-time hits leader with 4,256. Rose was banned from baseball in 1984 for betting on baseball games as a player and manager. Rose, who died in 2024, is now eligible for the Hall of Fame. If you had a vote, would you vote for Rose to go into the Hall of Fame? Email your thoughts to ray@smileyAudiomedia.com. ray@smileyAudiomedia.com. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson.